Now let's deal with the problems of perception, how different people see the same thing but interpret it differently. Some children complain that they see the words floating on the page. Just like that. Some children can read small words quite fluently, but when it comes to big words, they hesitate reading a long word like conference or something like that, and we'll understand that. Some children read words like was for saw or on for no. They read them backwards, or even read the same line again after they've read the line. This is because they are right to left processors instead of left to right processors, and we'll understand that as well. Let's look and see what this perception is all about. Here we see two ladies in a red hat and they're both happy. But if we look at them in a slightly different way, lo and behold, we have one lady who's still happy, but the other one's certainly not happy, just because we've looked at it in a different way. Let's take another picture. Here we take a picture of a clown. A picture of a clown is a picture of a clown is a picture of a clown. However, if we rotate the picture, suddenly the picture of a clown becomes the picture of a man on a unicycle and a tent beside him and a dog on his nose. Some children complain that they see the words flashing on and off the page, and people imagine they're only making it up. However, look at this slide. Yes, you're seeing black and white dots flashing on and off the page. In the same way, some children see the words flashing on and off the page. So let's see why some children see words floating on the page. They say that sometimes the words are blurry or come in and out of focus, or that some words move up and down or side to side in the page, or words that appear to float up from the page, or some words scrunch together or other words pull apart, or double words or double sentences with the sentence in shadow in the background. Difficult to read under those conditions. Let's look at a difficulty caused by small visual chunk size. As we look down at somebody's head, we can see that the left eye sees a semicircle on the left, and the right eye sees a semicircle on the right. And when the two semicircles interact, that's what we see with both eyes, that area. And this is called a chunk size. However, some people have a narrow chunk size, similar to the yellow area we show here. And that raises difficulties. The difficulty is that they can only maybe read 3 or 4 letters at a time. So let's experience what this feels like. That's reading the word conference, just 3 or 4 letters at a time. Not so easy. Now try the next word yourself. Speculation. The next word. Property. It's easy to see these words when you see them all together. However, to try and see the word 3 letters at a time is much more difficult. And children might turn around and see the word speculation and start saying SPE and talk about spectacles. Or they might see the word PRO and start saying the word profile, or the word CON and saying the word contradict. And we don't understand where they got the words from, but that's due to a small chunk size. So the small visual chunk size is affected this way. By having a large visual chunk size, we can see the word conference all in one piece. However, if we have a small visual chunk size, we can only see the word 3 letters or 4 letters at a time. So let's read a whole sentence or paragraph like this. Just read this to yourself. Okay, so you know what you've read, you've got all the words together, etc. But do you remember what you've read about? How much of the meaning of the passage do you remember? Not much. Whereas, if I give you the passage like this, just read through it. It is much easier to read a complete sentence when you have an appropriate chunk size. Individuals with a small chunk size often read in a hesitant manner, and comprehension can be vague. But now you know what it feels like to have a chunk size of 3 or 4 letters. It is nothing to do with intelligence, it's nothing to do with effort, it's nothing to do with diligence. These children, if they have a small chunk size, they are trying their best. But at Dyslexia Bay, we can overcome this and many, many other problems. Let's look at this. And some people look at this picture and they will see a duck. And other people will look at this picture and see a rabbit. It depends if you look at the picture from left to right or right to left. Let us demonstrate. So here we can see the beak of the duck coming out. There's the eye and there's the back of the head. And it's easy to see the picture of the duck. However, let's move the black square going from right to left. And here we can see the mouth of the rabbit, the eye of the rabbit, and the long ears of the rabbit sticking out the back. So if we look at it from left to right, we see a duck. If we look at it from right to left, we see a rabbit. So what does this mean? If we look at this sign here, it's written in Arabic at the top and English in the bottom. If we look at the English in the bottom, it all looks fairly familiar. If we look at the Arabic at the top, it doesn't look familiar at all. But look at the layout. The Arabic is written from right to left, and the English is written from left to right. It's not so much that one is the right way or one is the wrong way. But look at this sentence here, and I want you to read it as a right to left reader would read it. Most modern languages are written along a line from left to right. Most people naturally process from left to right. And that was hard to do compared to this way when it's written in a normal way. But someone who looks at that normally and processes right to left would have difficulty reading that in the same way you have difficulty reading the top one. So we've mentioned a few different things from eye tracking and different perceptions and things like this. So imagine if we had several bottles of spirits. How many different cocktails could we make from 6 or 7 bottles of spirits? That's right, hundreds and hundreds. So if you've got children and they've got certain types of perceptual difficulties, certain types of processing difficulties, certain types of perceptual screen not working, or certain types of eye tracking difficulties, you are going to have no 2 children the same. I've been dealing with people with dyslexia from 10 different countries for a period of over 40 years, and I can honestly say I've never met 2 the same yet. Each child with dyslexia must be treated as an individual, and the help you give that child must be for exactly that child and to suit that child's difficulties. Otherwise, success is not guaranteed.
So now you understand why all children are different. And we have just covered some of the eye tracking and perceptual difficulties that we have identified in children and adults with dyslexia. So just to finish off, let's look at the symptoms. So you as a parent or a teacher or professional should watch out for the following symptoms. Firstly, running your finger under the words while reading. You will find many children will use the finger pointing underneath each word in order to keep their place on the page. Secondly, children losing their position on the page. So if they're interrupted while reading and they look up, they find it difficult to find the correct position on the page again while reading. Copying from the board. Often you will see that children with eye tracking difficulties will have difficulty when they look up to the board and back down again to transfer something into their homework journal, and there are errors writing something from the board directly into their homework journal. Eye strain. Many children will show evidence of eye strain. That could be itchy eyes, watery eyes, in some severe cases eyes swelling, etc. And that's very often evidence of an eye tracking difficulty. Looking away. Many children are often found looking out the window in a classroom. And the reason why that happens is because of the eye strain. When they're doing something quite close up, they feel the eye strain and then they must look away in order to relieve the tension in their eyes. Lacking concentration. Now, you've already witnessed that yourselves. Eye tracking difficulties will lead to lack of comprehension and lack of concentration very often, as we mentioned. And finally, subvocalization. Now, that is when you see somebody when they're reading to themselves and they're mouthing the words quietly. That can be evidence of somebody having eye tracking difficulties and they're struggling to make that connection. So, what we do at Dyslexia Bay, we work with the reluctant readers, whether it is a comprehension difficulty or an eye tracking difficulty, identifying the causes behind them and helping them to become happy, confident readers.
We provide at Dyslexia Bay training for both parents and for consultants. To find more details about this training, go to our website, dyslexiabay.com. Thank you very much for listening.